stories very well, because historians have told us that no invading force has been able to dislodge or defeat the force that controlled the Vosges Mountains until, of course, the 36th Division, including the 442nd, won that battle, thereby opening the gateway from the south to invade Germany itself. And earlier I mentioned that General Marshall said that the 442nd helped in the Italian campaign. What he was referring to was the last campaign in Italy, the Po Valley campaign, where there was a stalemate for 5 months. The enemy held the high ground, called the Gothic Line, and the 442nd was ordered to breach the defense line. They were able to hold off the Fifth Army invasion for 5 months. The 442nd was made the plans. Their plans called for climbing a very steep Mount Folgorito, which was an all-night affair, and at 5:30 in the morning was at the crest, caught the enemy by surprise, and defeated the enemy in that Gothic Line operation, thereby opening the Po Valley for the last part of the invasion, which is what General Marshall was talking about. While 13,000 Japanese Americans served in Europe, this is Italy, France, and Germany, 3,000 served in the Asia-Pacific region. They served as translators, as interrogators of prisoners of war, and as communication interceptors, and also in special forces to work behind enemy lines in Burma with the Merrill's Marauders and with the OSS. They also were in combat. They landed with the first troops that landed in Iwo Jima and Saipan, and took as much risks as those who fought in the European side. For all of this operation, last year, Congress passed a law to award the Congressional Gold Medal to the 100th Battalion, the 442nd Regimental Combat Team, and the Japanese American who served in the Asia-Pacific region in the Military Intelligence Service. That award is going to be realized later this year at the U.S. Congress, and we have over 400 veterans who have decided that they wanted to make that trip here. And they're all in the late 80s, like myself, and also in the 90s. But they're planning to make the trip. Now, what does all this mean in terms of the Japanese Americans? What all this means is that the reason the Japanese Americans and the Tuskegee Airmen went into combat was to prove one thing, to prove their loyalty. Apparently, they succeeded because of what we heard President Truman say when he received the 442nd at the ellipse. You fought the enemy abroad, and you fought prejudice at home, and you won. So the military leaders and President Truman decided it is now time to reform the armed forces. What they did was they leveled the playing field for all members of the armed forces to compete on level ground. And during World War II, the highest rank of a Japanese American was a major. And there were 4. With the leveling of the playing field, and also their assignment was largely to the U.S. Army, the infantry. Now fast forward to the Vietnam War. In the Vietnam War, you would see them in every branch of service, in the most sensitive war planning positions, in the cockpits of fighters and bombers as pilots and navigators. 5 of them were shot down in Vietnam, and they were guests at Hilton, Hanoi with Senator McCain. You would have them in the ship, in the naval vessels, in key positions, all with ranks of majors, lieutenant colonels, and colonels. After the war, Vietnam War, 43 of them would be promoted to generals and admirals, with 1 moving on to become Chief of Staff of the United States Army, wearing 4 stars. Some 60 other Asia Pacific Americans would achieve flag rank. The armed forces did very well. So did the civilian side. On the civilian side, in 1952, you would have a law passed where alien residents, Japanese alien residents, would be allowed to become U.S. citizens. Discriminatory laws in the states, especially in California, Oregon, Arizona, the state of Washington, would be repealed one by one. You would have the Commission on Wartime Relocation and the Internment of Civilians, which is mandated by the U.S. Congress, conclude that internment was not necessary.